So hi guys, Honza Galla here from RECUMBENT.news. This time I am here with Matt Galat. You know him. If you know him because of his YouTube channel called Gyo Nation. So you can see a link in the description of this video. We are here at the Garda Lake in Italy after we visited the Spezi show in Germany, and I am taking Matt to the north of Italy, so he will ride his trike around part of the Italy for the next 3 weeks. And I thought it would be nice to take to use the opportunity to ask him a few questions about why he rides recumbent trike. And so let's get back. How many years?
2014, I think. 2014.
Yeah.
Was when I first started conceptualizing everything.
So what was the original plan?
Well, I mean, this is the trike right here. So this is behind us. It's been originally. I was living in China for at that time 5-6 years, and I started to feel the itch of travel, right? I moved to China. I noticed that I was connected to all these different places. Once you're there, you're a stone throw away from Cambodia and Thailand and all of these cool places, Vietnam. And I said, well, I really want to do an adventure. And I got my friend involved, and my friend was the one that suggested, he's like, Matt, there's this thing. It's a tadpole tricycle. I'll never forget when he said the two words, tadpole tricycle. It was, to be honest, it was off-putting. I mean, it sounds weird, to somebody who's never heard it before. I mean, obviously tadpole because it's wide in the front, narrow in the back, and tricycle. But when I hear tricycle originally, I thought a kid's tricycle, The first time I'd heard it. But he was explaining it's unique. It's balanced. It looked like a lot of fun. He had never ridden one before, but he had seen some articles about it. And I said, well, we have to try it. I'm not going to decide unless we have to ride one.
Sure.
So we flew to Los Angeles, and there was a shop there called Bent Up Cycles. And it's run by Dana, the owner Dana. And we just tried a bunch of bikes or a bunch of trikes. And I make videos, so I have a YouTube channel, and that was the first video that I made that was geared towards trikes. And it's one of my more popular videos on the channel. I think it has 200,000 plus views or something. And so that is one, the reasons are a few, right? So one, we ended up choosing trikes to ride on the tour, and I ended up separating from him. He didn't join me, so I ended up going solo on the trike. But what I found, originally, I thought it's unique. So from a content point of view, it will encourage people to watch you and want to interact with you. I rode down streets and people would be like, what the heck I've never seen anything like that before. And so there was a shock value, which was not a negative shock, like a positive shock. And then it was stable, and so for making videos, I can hold a camera, and I even got all my gearing on one hand, so I can shift, I can steer, and I can brake with one hand, and the other hand can fly a drone, can make a video, to do whatever.
So did you have it like this from the very beginning?
No. I'm on my third iteration. That is my third iteration of the trike. So my first was all 20s around and very standard. It had the rack for touring, but it was a very standard all 20-inch vehicle. But it was also suspended. That was the one thing.
Roll-off already?
Roll-off I had already. Then I noticed that I really wanted a free hand, and I got hit by a car, and it destroyed the first trike in the middle of China during my first tour attempt. But I'll tell you what, if I was riding a bicycle, that's another benefit. I think I wouldn't be sitting here. Because when I was hit in behind by the vehicle, me and the trike went together down the road.
Yes.
Instead of me off of my bicycle,
Okay.
and then hitting the windshield, and then it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I only shattered my shoulder as opposed to maybe breaking my neck. But the second time, I put everything on one side. I maintained the roll-off, and I even installed a schlumpf drive on the front from Haberstock. And I mean, the idea of riding a stable ride, your upper body also doesn't get sore, so you never get that sore crook in your neck or the feeling in your hands, numbness.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of bicycle feelings.
You don't bend your.
You're basically sitting just like we are right now, and we're used to that. We're comfortable that way. That's the way we should be,
Yes.
So when you're riding a recumbent, that's the way it is. So there's a lot of reasons why I like the trike. Some of them are professional, but a lot of them apply to everybody. Like the comfort level, the stability, the fact that it's cool. It's a cool thing,
Yep.
It's really neat,
Any disadvantages you have found over the time?
Disadvantages?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, this place we're in right now, we'll shoot B-roll, right? We'll do a B-roll of it. This place right now, Lake Garda in Italy, is beautiful, but it's got a lot of narrow roads and a lot of tunnels. And that trike is about 1.5, two bike wide, maybe?
No, it's same.
Like 1.5.
It's at the end same width as the very wide handlebars
Okay.
on the mountain bikes.
But
nowadays.
you're down lower to the ground.
But you have to stay on the road as you are. So this width is there on the road.
Like they can hang over the road.
You can and make the width like one half down, basically.
You are chewing up a lot more road.
Yes.
And inconveniencing the people behind you. Now, depending on what country you're in, it might not be a problem. Like Asia, there's, obviously some countries, Netherlands might be, that a lot of bike paths to go on. But if you're forced to go on the road, it could create some traffic
in some places
congested problems. There's also the fact that you're low to the ground. There's a lot of people say, you're low to the ground. I have never really personally felt that way, personally, but I know that's a problem a lot of people do say. I mean, I have the flags on the back and lights and...
You mean to be visible enough?
Yeah.
But at the end, for me, I think that most of the recumbent riders, especially trike riders, they know they are a bit less visible than upright bikes.
Yeah.
So they use the flags, they use flashlights.
Right. They
front
get
and
very
back,
loud.
And so on. So they are, at the end, I think the recumbent riders are the most visible riders on the road.
Right.
Because they really care about their visibility compared to some of the road bikers, that have black jersey to match the black frame of the bike and black helmet. And then you can hardly see them. So
I would say for me, probably the biggest negative disadvantage is that you can't really incorporate your body weight into the process of pedaling.
Yes.
Everything is coming from the hips through the legs to the knees into the pedals. So you're using those muscles, and a lot of times, especially on uphills, you don't have the ability to get off and do this huffing and puffing.
Yes.
And for me, trying to I don't want to go too slow, and oftentimes you just have to realize that this is going to be slow on some of the uphills, but you're going to benefit on the downhills when you've got this beautiful, amazing ride in this, you're right close to the ground, so everything looks a lot faster, it's fun.
And also, my experience is that when you build up your muscles enough, then you are quite fast uphill as well, because you can use, you can force the pedals starting from your shoulders basically, and you can use all your force or your power to put into the pedals.
But I mean, maybe I've hurt my knees a little bit doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying my family has bad knees, so I'm predisposed to some bad knee problems. So, but I found that also if you ride it, like you said, 500 kilometers or more, you start to build those muscles around and train yourself to get there. So it's a little bit, on top of that, obviously you're bringing another wheel in, you're bringing another, more frame in. So the weight typically to a bike is a little bit heavier, so there's that. But you don't have to worry about setting it over or doing a lot of those things, so it's not really that much of a concern for me personally. Yeah, I love it. I really enjoy riding it.
Okay.
You know.
So what other special recumbent stuff do you have? Like equipment, you have the Ortlieb bags.
I have the Ortlieb recumbent panniers, which are discontinued now.
Yeah.
So if you find some, get them, because I really like them. Honza doesn't really like them too much.
Not
I mean,
so much.
The reason behind not liking them is they're not very.
They don't have a
proportionate.
shape.
They're a duffel bag. They're basically but they're a completely watertight duffel bag. I mean, you could throw that thing in the river and float down. You know, for the most part. I know.
No. They are kind of open.
I'm being somewhat facetious,
but they are waterproof.
Yeah.
For the riding, they are totally waterproof.
You could go through a heavy deluge rain and they won't get wet on the inside. But then I used I have two. They would be normally handlebar bags, Ultimate 6s.
Yeah, on an upright bike it would be a handlebar bag.
But on mine, and I would never diverge from that. I mean, as soon as I realized that I could put the handlebar bags beside me, I mean, for me especially, I'm grabbing my camera, I'm grabbing my drone, I want, you know, my wallet, all of that stuff. I don't want to go digging through my panniers.
So quickly.
So quickly. I mean, I can have that camera out and I can see a car driving down the road that is kind of neat. I might want to I can have my camera out recording it within 2 or 3 seconds. You know, so for me that's really, really beneficial. I have that bottle cage, which I really like. That's a kind of a recent addition.
Yes.
That Velcro bottle cage. What is that one called?
The SKS, whatever.
It's really good. I like that.
Anywhere adapter or something like that.
The King rack from Aza is the rack that's on the back, and that thing. Yeah. It is certainly its name. Yeah. It is a King rack. It is you know, it is a beefy, you know, monstrous thing. But if you want a tour, it has all the options for you to put whatever you want on it. Yeah. I have a roll-off speed hub.
So what do you like on the roll-off? Why would you recommend it?
You know, I don't know. I hate getting, you know, you're having fun coming downhill, and then all of a sudden the light turns yellow and it turns red, and before you know it, you have stopped at the most difficult gear possible. And no matter how talented or strong you are, you're going to look like a doofus trying to come out of that light and shift down to the appropriate gear in order to restart. And if there's an uphill, then you're a mess. And I've done that to this day. I look like an idiot because I've been taking some of my friends' trikes in Portland and riding them around, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot. And when you're riding the roll-off, you've got not only do you have the long gear range, right? There's a lot of gear range within that little thing. It's sealed, so you're not going to worry about it rusting and chains pulling teeth off of gears. If it's tuned properly, you won't have to worry about the shifting, right?
It lasts forever.
It lasts forever. In fact, it actually gets better, you know, with the first 1,000 kilometers or more.
Even more.
And because I took that off my previous trike, that thing's got 10,000 kilometers on that one roll-off hub, and I'm like, that's the one thing I want.
It's more.
I don't want the new one.
It's basically should be more expensive used than new because somebody did the work.
Broke it in for us. You know, you can just dial in whatever gear you want, and you don't have to pedal during it. And you might think that's a little bit weird. I had to tell my brother. When in America, you know, when he was riding it, you know, he's like, this thing's hard. And I'm like, oh, I know what the problem is. You can't pedal
when you
through the shift, which normally it's counterintuitive. Yes. And then he took it around and he's like, this is great, you know, which made me a little nervous because I don't know how hard he was pushing through the gears.
It wouldn't destroy the hub.
Yeah, it's a beast, and it's it lasts.
And before you had also the Schlumpf drive, but
I did have the Schlumpf drive.
How did you like it, or why? How did you use it? That's probably the
question.
I
had the Schlumpf high speed drive, and Honza has seen me pedal, and he has identified what I thought was a positive, but is probably more of a negative, was that I enjoy having a large chain ring and then just driving and picking up speed and then like having this long stride, and I have gotten bad knees over the time. And Honza pointed at me and he says, "That's what's causing your bad knees."
Could be one of the reasons.
Could be. And so that I used to have a high-speed drive, and when I shifted that thing into the long setting, that thing was like a 72 tooth chain ring,
but with 20-inch wheel.
Yeah, and combining it with the roll-off was not quite. It was putting a lot of pressure on the drive.
Too much torque. Yeah.
And so we decided instead to convert to 2 normal chain rings and then what would that be, a sissy drive, or what would you call that, emergency only ring with like it has a brake on it, so I couldn't just shift to it intentionally. I would literally have to take the brake off to use it, just in case I was on a difficult incline. So but I really enjoyed the Schlemp drive, being able to like instantly use your heels to adjust between the two gear settings, and having those two gear. The other thing was that having those 2 gear settings so drastically different, I got full gear range from my roll-off. Yes. It's got 14 gears, and there was only normally with the chain ring, a lot of overlap. But with the Schlemp drive, it almost had no overlap. You go all the way through the roll-off, click it, go all the way down, and start afresh. And you've got a whole new set of gears, I think I had like 2,000% gear ratios or something like this, crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was Matt Galat with his reasons and explanation why he likes recumbent trikes, and what is his setup.
Yeah, if any of those things appeal to you, if you heard anything I said and you're like, that sounds kind of like something I'd like, check out a trike, man. And if you haven't ridden one before, go out and ride one, because they're a lot of fun. They're a lot more fun than I was expecting. I was pleasantly surprised. And I've been riding one for over 10 years now, and I've never been disappointed.
Yeah. Great.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yep. See you later.
Bye.
Jayo.com.